All right. Thank you. All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll call the board meeting to order for the Glens Falls Industrial Development Agency. We have a quorum. All members are here except for Dr. John Cordes, who's away this week. Thank you all for joining us, and we're also joined by our key staff and advisors and consultants, and we don't have any guests, but maybe possibly online. So we're going to get started. We'll start with our administrative reports, and let me just say that thank you to Mary Gooden. We started our governance committee meeting did we meet last week? No, earlier this week.
It was this week.
Oh my God.
Fast, isn't it?
They all went together. So we talked about this briefly in our last meeting, that we are exploring a change to our uniform tax exemption policy to possibly permit permits on projects that have 100% residential housing, typically multifamily. Um, we don't have any applicants in front of us at this time, but we've had a lot of questions from not just developers in the area, but also employers concerned that jobs are not getting filled in the area in some places because people don't have places to live or sufficient apartments to move to. And so Warren Washington IDA, who we do some work with on occasion, has already changed their policy in this respect. We had a brief meeting with the state of New York, and they advised us that the city of Albany, Schenectady, and Columbia County have also made these same changes. And so through Mary's efforts, we're looking at those 4 different policy changes by nearby IDAs, and we're going to take a look at it and meet again. So no decisions yet, but we're looking at that. We also asked the Glens Falls Housing Authority to get we had a meeting with them this week on something else, and we asked them to share with us what their occupant, they advise that they're fully occupied in all their buildings and what their wait list is. And so they're going to share that information with us as well. So give us some idea. So that was all I had to report on that. Happy to take any questions, and then I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Great.
Okay. So we'll let you know when the committee's going to meet again and get back to you. And Jeff, do you have anything that you want to report?
No, just to follow up very briefly with that, this was prompted by the fact that we've got a lot of development going on, a lot of the residential development. Much of it is mixed use housing, but in some cases you have these circumstances where, what the city's been trying to do is to encourage, redevelopment as much as anything. So when you have these people taking properties they have to tear down, or buildings are trying to renovate, there's additional costs. And, sometimes it doesn't necessarily make sense to have a commercial component to the project, depending on its location or what have you. So we just want to make sure that that's at least a tool in the toolbox if, and clearly it seems to be legal. I mean, at least if you have the proper guidelines. So I think it's something we should look at and have at least available to us as an option.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And the comprehensive plan is also looking at a lot of opportunity to be able to locate residential and commercial in the mixed use places all together in different parts of the city. So that I just wanted to.
Yeah. Great.
That's one thing I had as far as that. There's some project stuff we'll talk about.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And part of that review that we're going to go through is to look to see if any of the other IDAs have imposed any kind of restrictions on income of the residents on some or all of the units, and what they're doing in terms of how they can monitor compliance with the developer to make sure whatever it is that they put in the plan that the developer, the owner, is complying with that. So, and how do you monitor that? How does that add to our expense, if you will, our administrative expense to taking that on? So those are some of the things that we've got to look at. So And one of the entities that's talked to us about this in the past is the largest employer in the area, which is the Glens Hospital. And they were one of the ones that said to us, gee, we've had some difficulty filling some jobs because people would need to move here and they couldn't find housing. So we'll take a look at this and we'll get back to you guys on where we are.
And just another note on that, my mother just moved into Gurney Lane, the
Senior.
rehab up there.
Okay.
And most of those people up there are traveling nurses and things
Yes.
because of housing. So
Yeah,
it's a
huge.
really big issue.
Very expensive to
Yes.
hospital.
Yeah,
Oh,
It costs a lot of money to the
it
hospital.
costs, yeah.
Because many times they provide a housing stipend and they make. It's just crazy how much
Yeah.
it costs.
yeah, okay.
I mean, nothing against the nurses.
What was
Yeah,
the
right.
latest quote of housing from Warren County? Less than 1% vacancy?
Something like that, yeah.
It's
At all levels, right? You know,
Pretty-
the crazy part is it doesn't matter
pretty,
what kind of housing you're talking.
Well,
and
once again, I would encourage you to keep a broad mind in terms of level of build or development, because the more units you have, the bodies shift. Things that are currently full, if you build more and they move, those units become open. I mean, any residential helps our situation, not just low income, not just
Right.
workforce.
Yeah.
Any development.
yeah.
Agreed.
And it, the head of the housing authority reminded us that their income, sometimes people move in, their income does change. They do have some residents that go up to 80% of median income. And then, Broad Street Commons is an affordable housing project, but they also have, income that goes up to 80% of median income. So you're almost at median for some of those units. So, when we start talking about affordable housing, it really varies.
Right.
It's not all
It's a-
low income.
It's a big issue. It is.
Yeah.
I think you're going to need, wine and cheese at your. Okay.
At our meetings or?
So.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We
I'd
could.
like to be invited.
Okay.
Happy to attend.
Okay.
He's never said that about any other.
Exactly.
They don't have wine and cheese.
That's right.
Okay. So we have well, before I move on, I know that they're under the payment of bills, which is coming up. Jeff, we have the IDA farm issue.
Yep.
Can you give us an update
Sure.
on that? Are we going to be approving that today?
Yes, I'd like to. What's happening right now is that I've met with the Josh Fabian, the consultant who's been doing farming. We've met with him and Jim Siplon, and Jim has 2 interns this summer. And we're trying to position this farm to, I don't say dispose, but that's the term. I mean, to get it involved in this startup ADK program, reverse ADK program in the fall semester at SUNY. So what we're trying to do now is we're trying to, 1, make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to work, and 2, come up with some business plan projections for the project, right? So we're looking at what it can actually grow, who it can actually sell to, what it can actually make. So these 2 interns, one of whom is a return intern for Jim, are helping to put together a business plan that we submitted as a proposal. So when you're getting requests for proposals, you have the business plan, and then you look at people. At the meantime, what we're doing is we're looking to, and Karen might be able to speak a little bit to this. I know we've been going back and forth a little bit with Karen Judd about the council approved transferring the assets. I think it's a simple bill of sale.
Yeah, I'll just drop that and get that.
Okay, the
over.
physical assets are worth about $80,000, which, we would hold on the books, but the idea would be that we're trying to figure out the best model for that. Would it be somewhere where someone takes over the operational costs for a period, and if they're successful and can make it work over a year or 2, then you figure out some nominal sale price, or at least the purchase or something like that. If they can't, then you sort of try again with the product, since you have at that point an existing physical thing that structurally works. It's a question of whether or not the business plan works.
So do we need that transfer to happen before these bills can be paid, that you're here?
I don't know. That would be a question I guess Karen would have to ask. I mean, the council has approved it, so I think it's actually, there's nothing standing in the way of them doing this product.
Approve the issuance of some fund.
Well, we approved this
Funding.
expense of up to $20,000 to cover expenses, but the asset transfer has not happened yet, and I guess.
That hasn't happened yet. It's been approved by the common council.
Correct.
Karen got back to us and said, if bill of sale would be acceptable, I need to draft that.
If we wanted to, I mean, if it's okay, we could approve these contingent on receipt of the bill of sale.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay,
That's reasonable.
all right, that's what,
I think that's
okay, very good. And is the farm growing things right now?
It is. He's actually just cleaned it out right now. He's growing piece by piece by piece in a small scale to make sure that each portion of it, I think there's 12 different pieces of it, work. So at this very moment, no, he's cleaned it out and he's going to start from scratch with these guys to see what a given cycle is. So he can make some good estimations about what he can actually grow.
And there were 3 or 4 restaurants in the area that
There's
you're
about
growing?
5 or 6 actually that we've talked to, that we've given stuff to. We haven't really sold it yet. It's the mechanism for trying to collect money and have bills, and it's one of the big problems you have with us and or the city owning it, right? It's not really a business. You know, the city controller looked at me like, I don't know if we're going to do this. And we're sort of in the same situation here. This is why we want to get it onto this program and quote unquote
You haven't
out
opened,
of public hands as soon as possible.
you haven't opened up a table yet at the farmer's market?
Yeah, that'll have a table. I've had several farmers who expressed interest in it. So,
Really?
you know, what we're really trying to do is just to get several restaurateurs have expressed interest in it as well.
Okay,
So, you know, the question is, how do they put that together? I mean, you're going to need some sort of consortium. You know, someone who grows, who does, and Josh is actually good at that, but, you know, he's not going to be the business person. He has a job anyway. But you almost need like a business person and a structure, and a farmer, but the farmer's not a farmer. It's not you know, it's a different kind of farming. It's not the same, there's better works, but it's you know, someone who works the fields. It's a different animal.
The other item
She's a
is
farmer.
that the lease of that space.
Mhm.
Yes, and we have a lease with the owner, and he's willing to sort of look at this in a long term. We have we've got basically at this point a month to month. He had given us a lease. He'd given us the space for a long time. He finally went to about a $500 a month, which is pretty cheap for 1,800 square feet. But we can set up a long-term lease with him, and he's more than open to that. But at this point, we're just on a month-to-month lease with him.
And that's from the city.
Yes, that's from the city.
Who insures this?
He does. Well, I mean, we have that's a good question. We did address that question with him, but I'll have to check and see how that works too.
Well,
I mean, going forward, if you
Sure,
get
you're gonna
right,
do that anyway.
you're gonna, yeah, so we need an answer to
I
that.
guess one of the questions we need to resolve is the city gonna continue to maintain that lease, or are you looking?
I
to
would
sign
suggest,
that
I would suggest maybe an assignment and keeping it as a month-to-month lease, because we don't know exactly the time frame that we're gonna work on. I mean, I would guess this would probably transfer from the IDA to whoever assumes that lease from us,
Mhm.
sometime in September, October. So I mean, and that won't be a problem to do that with the owner.
Okay.
To just,
But you still need to transfer from the city to.
correct. We'll have to.
But we don't need to do that now. We'll do that
No.
then. Right. Agreed.
Okay.
okay. All right, so let me move on to the minutes from the meeting held on May 15th, 2025. Is there any questions, comments on those minutes? I think everyone's got a copy and we've got them up on our website. So is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No nays and no abstentions, so the minutes are passed and we'll get those posted as approved. So the financial reports for 5 months of 2025 ending May 31st. Mark, would you like to say anything or add anything to that?
Just the CEO wage hit for $1,625. 2 Fitzgerald bills at $416. 2 months of payroll at 1% for $906.
And our external accountant who handles our audits, Jean Lapper's here. Jean, I don't think you had anything for this, but let me just check with you on IDA.
The only thing was retrospectively.
Okay,
Listening to what's going on and helping to formulate the estimated hours required. Will be, I'll provide it to you, you can approve it today or whatever. I'm just prepared it, we have discussed it with you, with that, and with Jeff.
okay,
But the way they're set up, the way it's set up, for example, right now for the IDA, it's an estimate of 10 hours to assist Mark, you know, with ongoing accounting matters throughout the year.
Okay.
I review the, and that estimate is just based on, you know, what I know at the time. And that's not to, and if we need more, if it requires less time, it'll be less. If it's more, if we need more time, we can do it.
So everybody remembers, we discussed at the annual meeting to bring Gene in to just double check to make sure that all of the processes and entries are done right. So when we go to give the data to the auditors, that it's smooth, right? That there's a very easy process by which they can confirm that everything has been done in a way that it makes it easy on them. So, and that's all 4 agencies.
okay. So Gene, as soon as you can get that to
When
us,
we
we'll
go
take a look
back
at it.
out to bid with the auditor,
Mhm.
we need to highlight the fact that we have this in place and we should be, their work should be discounted accordingly.
Interesting. I will take that note. Thank you kindly.
Okay,
Well, frankly, it'll reduce the time that I do at the end of the year. As opposed to-
Exactly, but not just you, it'll reduce the time that
they do.
the other auditor
Yes.
does as well. So we are happy to see you. Yes.
Okay. So, any questions or comments on the financial report as presented? There being none, is there a motion to accept the financial report for, month ending May 31st, 2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No nays and no abstentions, so therefore the report is passed and we'll get that posted as well. So for payment of bills, let me do this in 2 different ways. Let's do for our current IDA checking, we've got 1 bill from Mark Toomey, $414. Is there a motion to pay that bill?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
We will pay that bill. Thank you. No, and for the record, no nays and no abstentions. All were in favor. For the IDA farm checking, we have 3 bills that we're considering for, I don't know what that total is. It's about
$7,750.
Yeah.
7,750.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is, contingent upon having the funds moved from the city over to our checking account, we will approve payment of these bills once that money is moved over, if all members are in favor of that.
Motion?
The second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? There being none, motion is passed. We'll hold off on signing those checks until we get that money moved over. Very good. Okay. Any other reports at all? Let's go right to project reports. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll do this pretty quickly. Of course, 4556 South, that's the project that Patton's working on. That's been largely completed. I think they're still working through financing it there. Kara, is that correct?
Yeah, they're waiting on some environmental reports that will satisfy the financing.
Okay, but there's nothing for us to do at this point.
Nothing
We're
for us.
holding back.
And
The,
we have those agreements and we've signed them, so we're ready for
Correct.
closing on our end. Okay.
Which one's at 45, 46?
that's the blue building.
That is.
We'll have to figure out what to call it.
Currently painted.
Does he have a name for that? I don't know if he has a name for that building. Anyway.
We'll call it
The blue building.
Second, other projects, real quickly, the Union Square, we were reapproached by Ryan Connor about applying. He's got the back half of that building that he's looking to renovate. The one challenge I think we're having with him is that, he bought a building, half of which is completed and occupied, and half of which is vacant and unoccupied and needs work. He's given us sort of a prospective budget. The problem is that when you look at the finished part, it sort of makes the unfinished part look better than it really is. And his costs are he's got a lot of costs involved in trying to renovate that. But, you know, if you throw in the part that's completed and finished, it doesn't look as bad. In other words, if you ask Bonaccio when they were looking at the building on South Street, if only you include everything you're doing up in Spoon Lake, right? And
Right.
throw that in there, the project is pretty good. But you don't do that. You know, those are actually two different addresses. So what we're going to have him do is create a separate sort of sub budget that shows to the extent he can the costs that he's incurring for the renovation of that building. You know, so at least we can consider that in contrast to the part of the building that he's bought that's looks like a finished product.
And just to add to what Jeff's reported, he's had Kara and I have looked very closely at the budgets for those properties, both in terms of what's called phase two, the renovation of the empty space, and also the total cost of the building. And the cost of renovating that second phase of the building that's unoccupied right now, the income that will generate from that is not sufficient to cover the cost of
Renovation.
that renovation. So, but when you look at the entire project and the income that he generates from the first phase, the currently occupied phase, there is sufficient income to cover it. Even yeah, but and so that's the complexity of it. And the project doesn't really work without a pilot, and so we'll probably be coming back and asking for some type of payment in lieu of tax for that project, which is mixed use, but for the second phase, taking into consideration the income he gets from the first phase. So right now we're looking at two different budgets, if you will.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And so there would be a public hearing for that as well, and we're not quite ready yet for it. So anyways, obviously important, I think, given its proximity to the DRI and the other work that's gone on in South Street to see that get done. I can't remember how many units. It would add another 17 apartments.
17 or 18, I think.
18 apartments, yeah, plus additional commercial space. So, nice design too. Okay, Crew Coffee.
I have nothing on that. Kara, do you have any?
They're waiting on the SBA now, so SBA advised them that the earliest they'll be able to close is the week of,
July 3rd,
well, possibly the week of the 23rd.
25th.
But if not the week of the 23rd, then it'll be pushed to the week of July 7th.
Okay.
So, we'll see.
Good.
And will
Wait.
that require us to have a meeting?
No,
No.
all of the IDA and LDC approvals are in place. And we approved previously the increase to the sales tax and overall project cost. So they're all current on everything. It's just a matter of getting their bank documents and reviewing those.
Which were held up because the city has so few building and code officers that they couldn't get it done. It's not his fault.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I think we've already signed
We
stuff,
gotta be
but
quiet.
I'm.
No, we've assigned they had their sales tax exemption. They made a partial payment and received their sales tax documents a while back. Whether or not they've actually used those yet, I don't know. At one point, they wanted to purchase part of the building. And I think that was when they thought the closing was imminent, but it's been almost like 6 months now, so I don't think that they actually purchased it yet. So when we do the closing, we'll be doing the leases, the pilot, and then their financing part, and obviously the transfer of the building.
So you'll need us to be available to re-sign documents then.
Yeah, I will need the mayor to sign the LDC documents, and I will need you to sign the IDA documents.
So, and the one thing that we haven't covered, although you sent me an email about it, is that the special use taxes, right? So when they take over that property, the way it works right now, the town of Queensbury bills the city for the special use taxes on that property, on all of those properties, on all of Tech Meadows, right? And what we're going to need to do is have some kind of arrangement with Crew Coffee that each year when that bill comes up, that the portion for their property ends up getting repaid to the LDC. So, which is which is something that we need to move forward with. We just aren't at the point where we have to do that.
Queensberry already knows about it. They were involved in the
Correct.
approval. I don't think anyone from Warren County was advised yet, but we'll have to tell them as well. All right?
Okay, sure.
So, but, yeah, John Stroud and somebody else from the Queensberry Town Board were involved.
Their planning
And
officer.
Stu,
Yep.
yeah, Stu Baker.
Stu
Yeah,
Baker.
who's their planner.
Okay. All right. Any other update on South Street?
No.
Nothing else?
No, that's all I had. The other one
We good there? First, I did go over for the opening day of the farmer's market, and those guys were very pleased. I met with the woman that served on the committee. I don't remember her name.
Small.
Yeah, and it was towards the end, and she was very pleased, in part because she sold out everything that she had to sell there.
Great.
But people
Didn't you
were,
say 3 or 4 vendors?
I went to 3 or 4 vendors. Tom Wells, the president,
Great.
who sells honey, at 10:45. I went back. Now, keep in mind, open till noon. He was out of product at 10.
10:45.
He was sitting, he and his wife were sitting there just beaming. That's all they were doing. So
That's
they were very
great.
happy.
They told me that people were very pleased with the access to parking in the area, and
Yeah.
that they were able to get in pretty easily, and they were pleased that there were 2 bathrooms there.
There were very, very minor things and logistic things about, brooms, and considering the weather was horrible.
Yes.
The first hours, it was probably the best. I couldn't find a farmer who was not pleased, other than the weather.
And they had 2 different facilities to store tables and when they were breaking up, that was working very well too.
They have a shed that
Two
we've
shed.
gotten that we'll use eventually until we have a permanent storage, but that worked well too.
Yes.
And our Ryan, I can't remember his last name.
Yeah, me neither.
DPW guy, they think very highly, and they're really excited about having someone there who can help them.
Well, yeah,
It's-
that's a lovely thing.
It's worked well. It's
Yeah.
worked well.
And
Yes.
someone from the city
That's
was
great.
there at a table.
And
in
we'll be
Amy
there,
Collins was there.
be there every week for the first month. So every weekend in June.
Someone, you had a
we
table there.
will
From
have
Yeah.
9 to noon or whatever?
9 to noon.
Yep.
the city
8 to
will
noon,
have-
whatever. Okay.
We'll have somebody there from the city. I was out of town last weekend, but I'll stop in as well when I can each week.
It's okay. You deserve a weekend off.
Yeah, it's okay.
1 or 2 a year is fine.
Right.
Okay, we've already talked about smart farm and the asset transfer. Anything else, Jeff, that you
No.
want to add?
Nothing.
There being none, I have no other business to come before the board unless there's any other questions. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. All in favor, we're adjourned.
We're-
All right. So next meeting, July 10th, we probably will meet in July. We generally try not to meet in August. Right now, we're hopeful that we still won't meet in August, but if something were to come up, we might have to call a meeting. Anyways. All right, so that is that for the IDA. I'm going to call to order the Glens Falls Civic Development Corporation Board. Again, we have a quorum except for Dr. Fortes, who is away this week. And we're joined by our staff and key advisors and consultants. Basically, we have some administrative reports to handle here, and I don't think anything else,
You all
but
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for ripping off things I didn't want to rip off.
Here's a paperclip.
oh, we'll get. Okay. So we have not met since March, but we do have our both our committee and annual meeting minutes from our meeting on March 27th. I think everyone's had a chance to review those. Any questions or comments? There are none. Is there a motion to approve the minutes, the committee meeting minutes and the annual meeting minutes from March 27th?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? There being none, the minutes are approved and we'll get those posted. And then we have the financial report for 5 months ending May 31st. And you do have a bill to pay for those audits that were done back in February and March. Anything that you want to add, Mark, to the financial report?
Change is pretty much like you.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Our kind of committee, right?
I did check, we do have sufficient money in the account to pay the bills. Oh, very good. All right. Is there a
Well
motion
done,
to
Mark.
accept the financial report as presented? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? There being none, the financial report is passed and we'll get that posted as well. And then, we do have two bills, again dating back to, our audit, which we've not paid yet, but we've got, Lug, Selig, and Zaranda, and Anderson Advisory for a total of $5,300. Is there a motion to approve payment of these two bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? There being none, motion is passed. And we'll get those bills paid this week. I have no other business. Do you have anything at all, Jeff? All right. We have no new business that's come before us. We'll probably not meet in July unless something comes up, but we'll keep that. Yep,
I was gonna say that I'm gonna sort of send a letter through the CPC as well.
as
Yeah.
well.
Up to 2 hours, I mean, it, no
Yeah.
activity, but just in case something comes up, then, you know, you don't have that meeting to approve warrant calling.
Okay, all right. We'll take care of that then as soon as we get that. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other business? There being none, motion to adjourn? Adjourn. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. All right. Mayor, I turn it over to you.
Lightning fast.
Yes.
That is fifth, is 32 minutes.
That's right. Well, welcome to the Greater Glens Falls Local Development Corp. It's still June 12th. And we have a quorum here. Dr. John is still out of town. Administrative reports. The first is approvals and resolutions. The first is the meeting minutes held on May 15th, 2025. Any questions, corrections, changes to the minutes? Not hearing any. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Under financial reports, the 5 months ending May 31st. Mark?
Two for Cheryl Bill for $80.65. Pay the tire insurance, liability for $10,000 for $10,914. Chuck bill for $1,772. 2 months of payroll, March and April, 60% from myself, for $1,359. Police break taxes we paid for $7,224. I've got a reversal I got to do for American Forward.
Mine.
Gas, 24, and the first act, $325. That is it.
Any questions regarding the report? Take a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Back to you, Mark. Payment of bills.
This is the one for myself for 2 months, May. $821.
And
That's
questions?
chief this month.
Yeah. That huge.
It's early yet.
So-
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Huge payment of bills. Any questions? Do we have a motion to approve this payment of bills?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Under projects, reports, 35, 30, that should be 36 ink, right?
36.
6 ink.
Mine says 36.
36. Yeah, you know, they look
People
you're not special. Huh?
Right, yeah, yeah.
It's just a test. This morning, my first test, I think I passed.
Somebody might have made a mistake on your version. I apologize. for that.
Yeah,
Just yeah, we have to say that we did select, the city had selected and approved the selection of AJ Architecture to design that building. He's already begun working on a sort of a basic schematic of the kitchen design, which is the primary concern because the rest of the space is designed to be flexible. He's met with Bonaccio already because they have to work with the existing conditions that they've created, particularly with respect to storage and bathrooms, something like that. He's giving me a timeline right now, but the timeline is anticipates the completion of the space by the end of the year.
Okay.
Maybe a little aggressive, but that's what we're hoping for, which is what Bonaccio is looking at for their project.
When we have drafts, I'd share it with the leadership of the farmers market. They were probably more concerned with the back of the building and what that was gonna look like, but when he's done with design, I'd share it with them.
Yeah, they got windows on there right now. If you haven't been by them recently, it looks
Yeah.
great. They put in a huge
The
window.
windows are actually nice.
Yeah.
Very
Looks
cool.
good.
Oh, that's great. When did you say the current target?
End of the year.
End of the year.
Yeah, he's looking at, Bonaccio's looking at the end of the year for those two buildings. Sandy's might be behind that a little bit for whatever reason. But if they do, they'll have, Andy said that it's an aggressive target to try and get it
Yeah.
simultaneously. But he said, we'll shoot for that.
Cindy's had all the eyebrows.
Be great.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And so that gives us a little more as the subcommittees for 36 Inc. are continuing to meet. We've had, Jeff has been, looking at equipment from a German company, to fit out the commercial kitchen and with a couple of the chefs, to help make sure that our equipment is what we need to be both a teaching kitchen and a rentable commercial kitchen for small businesses that are looking to grow or to utilize the facilities as they prove out their model of business. And then we've also met with a company called Story. They're originally out of Rochester, but they developed wayfinding systems for they started their business maybe 20 years ago with museums, doing like guided tours of museums and the audio stuff, but then have gotten into full wayfinding for communities, kiosk related stuff. So those have been great meetings.
Right.
And then Jim Thatcher and I have met and we're starting to put that list together. We got to get together with now the 3 subgroups and start to look at the equipment needed for the market itself. And we're trying to get the folks in from Taste of New York to be part of that so we can begin, and we'll bring back to you guys the thoughts on, there are actually many ways that a Taste of New York can operate. Some where they come in and run the whole thing from soup to nuts, some where they come in and run just pieces of it. And so we need to get with them and to see what those options all are and then bring it back to you and let you help us form an opinion as to how best to move forward.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, just the reason I bring it up is because now it gives us a little more, I was thinking fall. And so I was, little more, I don't know, worried. I don't want to use the wrong word, but it's a press. We're moving forward.
The Taste in New York, we've met on this before. There are different types of facilities that they manage, and not just
Correct.
those that are on
The highway.
the highway.
No,
And if could you send us the list of the places that they manage that are not on the highway? So if any of us are in those areas, might want to check it out.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, actually,
So
we've been talking in city to go and visit a few ourselves.
Yeah.
Was
There's
Ithaca?
one in particular in Binghamton. Yeah, the Cornell Cooperative actually runs a lot of these 4 Taste from New York throughout the state, different Cornell Cooperative extensions. And the one that's in Binghamton is run by Vicky, I can't remember her last name.
Yeah, I mean,
Delightful woman who said she wanted to move here because she likes ours so much. So
So we may have somebody to run.
So we're looking,
Right.
we got enough housing, maybe.
That's it. Yep.
And they have visited too, just so you know, they visited the area, they visited our farmers markets and so, it's an exciting time. We'll keep you posted. So yes, can we send a list of,
Yeah.
those out to
Oh,
everybody?
yeah, there is a tasting yard in Binghamton.
Oh, yeah, I've been there. It's remarkable. I mean, it's remarkable in the sense that it's
Okay.
really close proxy to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
close proxy.
So if anyone was traveling in the area, I thought it'd make sense to go check it out.
Absolutely. So, yep, lots of good stuff. Let's see, where were we? I lost.
Crew, we done
We're
crew.
all done with that, I think.
Crew coffee, I think we're set.
Yep.
We're waiting for them. SBS application. Jeff?
All I wanted to do, I mean, I'm gonna leave that on the agenda. We may or may not have projects to talk about, but all I want to do is make sure that we
It's a
make sure
placeholder.
that that's in the public eye as we have these meetings, because we're continuing to get inquiries, right? We don't have any specific project going on right now, but we continue to get inquiries on, how can you help us? What can you do? What is how much money can the LDC give us?
Right.
Right, or those kind of
Right.
things, right? So again, it's there just to keep that as top of mind. So this month, we don't have anything new.
Yeah, just real
As far as I
quickly,
know.
yeah, there's, of course, we're working through, we just got some documentation from Rebecca at Morgan and Company, who approved a small
Last year.
purchase for them for some
Last year.
equipment.
Can we go for that?
Yeah, we
Yeah, she
did.
just got the, but I just was, I was just down on South Street and without, sort of unbeknownst to me, there was a little building, I was meeting at, about Bonacci's building, and across the street, there's the Pop and Rock deck, and see this, there's a little, right next to Pete's Diner. There's a new person who's.
Oh, yeah,
moving in
I
a
saw that.
Candy and caramel corn store, and the guy was in there, nice guy, sort of, he said he's well known at Lake George. But he may approach us, he's got some equipment needs, he's got a lot of the stuff already, it's like old time,
Popcorn.
and popcorn things.
Yeah.
But but he might need a little bit of help, but I'd say, listen, if there's something we can help you with, I can do it.
And once again, that's a critical piece, I
great.
think, of what we can do, right? I mean, we don't want to be in the business of completely funding everybody's equipment needs, right? But if they run into a thing where they need a $5,000, $8,000 piece of equipment and it's tough and your startup, it's a great opportunity for us to say, we'll pay half, right? The LDC has this funding to be able to pay. So,
True.
yeah. So I'm a big fan of the program. Anyway, that was
Great. Great.
And we haven't had a meeting since the grand opening of the market center, so I want to make sure we just take one moment and thank you all for coming and being part of that. It's both the party, that having the restaurants be there, I think that it was a huge success, and credit to all the work that's been done over the years. It was fantastic. Ed's family's still
It
talking.
was packed.
It was.
It really was.
Great.
There, the folks there estimated that we had between 250 and 300 people at the opening. And then there was, you said, like between 100 and 150 at the party afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
So you can't beat that, right? I mean, that was great.
And one thing I will say too is that I had several of the people at the farmer's market said that helped them to figure out the logistics.
Yeah,
So
to see it. Yeah.
because there was a lot of people there, maybe more than they were at, especially at one time. And so the idea of being able to sort of see how the logistics would work, sort of.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, change is always difficult, but now that it's happening and you can see it with your own eyes, I think it's just a great thing of what we've been able to pull off. It took us a long time. But
Yeah, it is.
it did. Remember the day that you guys helped educate me on how tough the property next to it was, right? The most unattractive property at all, and to see it all coming back. I do remember OTB and that empty parking lot, that thing, and the Daily Double was, woof, right? That was rough for Bill Collins.
At the risk of sounding a little bit delicate here, yeah, I couldn't help at the end of that, especially at the end of the farmer's market, feeling a little bit, if you ever seen the movie The Shawshank Redemption, where Andy Dufresne, who crawls through, quarter mile of human wait and come out clean at the other side.
Very good, Jeff. All right. It was not planned.
Anyway, this is not recorded for posterity.
That's right.
Delightful, Jeff.
It's just, we have been approached by people to lease out the building. We're working, I have a meeting later today with David Klingbeil to start to look at those contracts. But we have one person or one organization, a not-for-profit, which would be the Wood Theater. So they're going to hold their fall gala at our facility. We've also have a music festival. It looks like we're going to have at least one night of Saturday night. So they've been able to work around our market, our farmers market, so that they know they can't get into the facility until 2 o'clock on Saturday, and they still want to have the beginning of what they're calling it used to be run by CCAM Summer Jam. So these folks had gone to Lake George and were working on a summer concert series. They weren't able to secure a location. They came to us, and they're going to have a Saturday night concert at this place and lease out the facility. So that's just what we've been able to pull off without even having contracts yet. So
who are they looking to ask to help something? There you go. Hallelujah.
Knowing at some point that street would get.
Right.
yeah,
It's vision, Gene, it's vision.
yeah.
If we know of things, who should,
That's what I said.
who's
For
gonna
now-
manage that?
For now, you can refer them to my office.
Okay.
But we'll be having, it'll be part of our tourism and the mayor's, all the special projects. Anytime somebody's got an event in Glens Falls right now, they get the application from the mayor's special assistant, Chip McTiernan, and we try to get that 90 days out. And it's very difficult because forever, Glens Falls didn't really have any one person in charge. You would go to, if you knew somebody, you might call Tom Gerard. If you knew somebody else, you might call Amy Collins. And so we've got one place where all applications for any of our venues, this is just being one of that.
Okay,
And so they go to Chip McTiernan in the mayor's office, and we can get them with a good application and a good start of it, and asking for the insurance. That was the problem. We had events that were happening for years here that didn't have insurance, not because we just didn't have one simple process. And we've been working for a year and a half on that process. I'll give you the example was the march, the soldiers Christmas
Yeah.
Eve
Road
day,
march, yeah.
the road march. 12 years, never had an application, had police support, never part of Board of Public Safety approval, didn't even recognize it was happening. This is Glens Falls, you're having a march, we want to help you, no problem, call the police, and it's amazing how some of these things just didn't have a set process. And some organizations have been resistant because they love the fact that they could call up 3 weeks before and remind us they were having an event.
Oh, by the way, we planned it.
Right, and we're like, whoa, no, wait, and so it certainly with pain, it's kind of like the kind of same thing with the farmer's market. A lot of that fear was changed, and until they could see this building being used, they couldn't even visualize it, even though we kept saying, yes, we have room. We have more room than you've had for years. And it's like almost people didn't believe us. And we gave them the diagrams, but it just didn't until they could see it, right? And when we had them in for a tour the week before the ribbon cutting, you could literally see the anxiety start to melt away. And then there are those people who were being negative on social media, still criticizing, and there's no way to respond to that. But now it's like, oh, God.
Well, and with all the stuff going on, right? I mean, the big focus has been to processize the process and document the process and clarify the processes, because that happened. We all know that happened all the time. Any one of you could have called City Hall 3 years ago and said, "Oh, I want to do this and do that," and then they'd be fine. Just do it, right? We can't do that anymore with growth and housing and people needing, people with all the jobs coming in and all the businesses coming. I mean, it becomes almost incumbent for the administration at this point to really focus on.
Yeah, we
those.
need to.
Sorry.
Tim's gotta go.
We're almost there.
Yep.
I don't believe we have any other business. And if not, we, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Next up is the Glens Falls Urban Renewal Agency. It's still Thursday, June 12th. We're going to call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. Our key advisors and staff are still with us. And administrative reports. First up is the minutes to the meeting held on March 27th, 2025. We had both our annual meeting on the 27th and a regular meeting on March 27th. There any questions or corrections to the minutes?
Kara, I sent you the email one quickly, so.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Where is it? Is it on the top?
yeah, on the top and in the body of the first one.
Is there a change?
Oh, it says urban development. I gotta change it to.
Oh,
urban renewal.
renewal. All right.
And in the body, it also
Okay.
says that at the top, yeah.
It's a
Any-
feature of-
Any other questions, changes? With those changes being noted, urban development into urban renewal?
Do we know for a fact that urban development didn't meet?
Yeah. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Financial reports, 5 months ending May 35th. Mark?
This year, we just had the city transfer for our 100,000. The students flat checks, 12 May. Fitzgerald bill for 160. Russell, the Boston. April site reviews, 1.2 Broad, 2 Mason, and 24 Aston. Was it.
Any questions about Mark's financial report? We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Under payment of bills, back to you, Mark.
You've got a Fitzgerald bill of 1,312, Fitzgerald for 772, and audit bill for 3,900, 5,044.
Good. Questions?
That 1312 for us, that's the second portion of it's a reimbursement. You were paid from Chris Patton and Deer Hoffman for that.
Oh, yes, right. Sorry about that.
Right.
Okay.
So so it got paid to urban renewal instead of getting paid to Fitzgerald Morris. So they paid
Now,
us.
urban renewal is paying Fitzgerald.
Urban
They,
Renewal
right.
yes,
Right.
is sending the.
And
the
I
place-
just want everybody to know that it's all set.
Okay.
Paid in full.
Okay. Yes.
Very good.
Good.
It always helps. Any, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Any other reports?
No, I'm right
Any-
now.
Any other business? If not, I don't believe we need to go into executive session, so we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We did it. Yay.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
7 minutes, you gotta hang around for a minute.
Right.
That's right.